Level 1. The applicant. You are sitting in a shared flat in South London on a grey Sunday afternoon. The radiator ticks. A damp patch is spreading in the corner of the ceiling that your landlord has promised twice to fix. You have £612 in your current account, and a degree that everyone said was impressive, and nobody will pay for. Outside, the city moves without you. You have applied for 19 jobs this month. You have heard back from 2, and both of those were no. Then you find the listing. It does not say what it is. It says International Policy and Analysis. It says Discretion Essential. It says a salary that is not large, but is steady, and steady feels like oxygen right now. You almost scroll past it. Something makes you stop. You cannot say what. A feeling maybe that the listing is looking back at you. You tell yourself it is just a graduate scheme. You tell yourself you are not the kind of person they want. That those jobs go to people with the right surnames and the right schools. But you fill in the form anyway, late at night, while your flatmates laugh at something in the next room. You write your name. You write your address. You answer a question about whether you have ever held information you were asked to keep secret, and you sit there for a long moment, and you feel, for the first time in months, that someone is asking you something that matters. You press submit. You go to bed. You do not know that a process has just started that will not let go of you for the rest of your life. Level 2. The candidate. The first contact is an email so plain it is almost rude. A time. A building near the river. No logo, no signature, no name you can search. You wear your only good shirt, and you arrive 11 minutes early because you read somewhere that punctuality is character. The room is beige and quiet. The people across the table are not what films promised. They are polite. They are ordinary. They are extraordinarily calm, in a way you have never seen in a person before. They ask you about your family, your loyalties, your debts, the friends you drink with, the people you have loved, and the exact way it ended. You answer honestly, more honestly than you meant to, because you sensed somehow that they would know the instant you didn't. There are tests. Memory. Judgment. A long written exercise where you are handed a folder of half-truths and contradictions and asked what you would do with it. You notice, halfway through, that they are not checking whether you are clever. They are checking whether you can stay calm while being clever, which is a different and far rarer thing. And you understand that this is the real exam, and it has no answer sheet. Weeks pass, then months. They do not chase you, so you begin to chase them instead, refreshing your inbox at traffic lights, lying awake, wanting it with an intensity that frightens you a little. That wanting is the first thing they have taught you. They have taught you to need them before they have given you anything at all. And you do not notice the lesson, only the longing. When the letter finally comes, you read it 4 times standing in the hallway. You have passed initial selection. You are asked to come in. You are asked to tell no one. That night you go to your sister's birthday dinner, and you smile and you laugh and you do not tell her. You feel the secret sitting in your chest like a warm stone. You think it makes you special. You do not yet understand that you have just started learning to lie to the people who love you, and that you will get better and better at it, and that you will never fully stop. Level 3. The recruit. Vetting takes the better part of a year. Strangers visit people you have not spoken to since school. Your finances are opened like a book. Every transaction, every overdraft, your internet history, your travel, the protest you attended at 21, all of it surfaces in a quiet room where a man with a kind face asks you to explain yourself, and you do, and you feel grateful for the chance to explain, which is its own small surrender. You sign the Official Secrets Act. The pen feels heavier than it should. The words are simple and total. Everything you will see, everything you will hear, everything you will become belongs to the Crown now, and the part of you that you are signing away does not announce itself. It just goes quiet, somewhere behind your ribs, and waits. Then comes the training. They take you somewhere out of the city, somewhere with long corridors and no clocks. They teach you to notice things. The car that turns when you turn. The face you have seen twice in one day. The way a perfectly normal street can be a stage if you know how to read it. They teach you to remember conversations word for word. They teach you to build a second version of yourself. A cover. A life that is yours but isn't. With a job and a flat and opinions about the weather. And to wear it so naturally that you start to forget where it ends and you begin. You are good at it. That is the problem. You are very good at becoming someone else. Better than the people who came in with you. At night, in your single room, you catch yourself rehearsing your real life, as if it, too, were a cover story, deciding which true things about yourself you would mention, and which you would keep back. Your salary is just over £30,000. You could earn 3 times that in the city. And the friends you started university with already do. You stay. You tell yourself it is the meaning. It is partly the meaning. It is also that the city could never make you feel the way this place makes you feel, which is chosen. And you are beginning to suspect that being chosen is the only currency you have ever truly wanted. Level 4. The Desk Officer. Your first posting is a desk inside a building on the Thames that the whole world can see and almost no one understands. Green and cream, glass and concrete, cameras on every corner, a fortress hiding in plain sight on the riverbank. You badge in through doors that lock behind you with a sound like a held breath. Your phone goes in a locker. The outside world ends at the turnstile. You expected field work. You get paper. Cables, reports, fragments of other people's danger arriving on your screen to be read and ranked and routed onward. You learn the house language, the acronyms, the careful passive voice that turns a man's death 3,000 miles away into a single neutral line in an assessment. You learn that the building runs on this calm, and that the calm is not coldness, but the only way the people here survive what they are required to know. You are trusted with small secrets first. Then larger ones. You start to see the shape of the machine, the way information climbs upward and decisions come back down, and you realize that somewhere above you, every single day, people are choosing who lives a little safer and who is quietly left exposed. You want to be one of those people. You tell yourself it is so you can do good, and partly that is honest. Partly it is the old pull, the gravity of the room where the choosing happens, and you are not yet able to tell the two apart. You stop reading the news the way other people do. A bombing flashes up on a screen in a coffee shop, and the stranger beside you gasps, and you feel nothing of what she feels. You feel the professional reflex instead. Was that ours? Did we see it coming? Who failed and how? Your girlfriend notices the change before you do. She asks why you went so quiet, why you flinch at nothing and stay flat at everything. You say it was a long day. It is the truest lie you have told yet. And it slides out of you with no effort at all. Level 5. The Case Officer. They send you abroad. A real station, a real cover, a real name that is not your name printed on a passport, that is genuinely, legally yours, and completely false. You live in a foreign city under a story, and you go to work each morning at an office that is partly real and entirely an invention. Here, for the first time, you do the actual job. You find a human being who has access to something your country needs, and you make them trust you, slowly, patiently, over months, and you turn that trust into a relationship, and you turn that relationship into something the service can use. You meet them in cafes, in cars, in flats rented through 3 other names. You learn their children's birthdays. You learn the small humiliations of their working life. You learn what they are afraid of in the dark. You become, to them, the most understanding person they have ever met. And you are using them. Both things are true at the same moment, in the same breath. And you carry both. And the weight of carrying both at once is the real beginning of the cost. No one warned you it would feel like this. No one could have. It is not guilt, exactly. It is the strain of being 2 people who want opposite things inside one body, every hour, with a smile on. Your first agent is a clerk in a ministry, frightened and proud, a man who tells himself he is doing this for his country's future and his children's chance at a better one. You tell him so too. You believe it enough to say it well, and you say it often, because the operation needs him to keep believing it. The intelligence he gives you is good. London is pleased. Your name moves up a list you will never be allowed to see. One night, he grips your wrist hard across a cafe table and asks if he is safe, if you can protect him. You look him in the eye and you say yes, of course, always. You do not entirely know that it is true. You say it anyway in a steady voice, because the operation requires it said and said convincingly. You go home to the dark of your false flat, and you sit on the edge of the bed, and you understand that you have just discovered what you are willing to do. It is more than you thought it would be. It will keep being more than you thought, every year, for the rest of your career. Level 6, the handler. You are running several agents now, a small constellation of frightened, useful people whose lives hang partly on your judgment. You are good at the city you live in. You speak its language. You know its rhythms. You have a cover that fits like skin. You earn around £50,000, and you spend almost none of it. Because money was never really the point, and there is nothing here that is yours. Nothing you would want to spend it on. The cost arrives quietly. It arrives as the slow erasure of the line between performance and self. You are warm to people you are assessing and guarded with people you love. Somewhere along the way, these 2 settings got reversed, and you cannot point to the day it happened, because there was no day. There was only 1,000 small evenings in which it was easier to be the warm stranger than the honest friend. The reckoning of it comes when you miss your father's funeral. There is an operation at a critical stage, and a man's safety depends on you being in a particular cafe at a particular hour on a particular afternoon. And you weigh it coldly, the way you have been trained to weigh things. And you make the call. You stand in that cafe 3,000 miles away, ordering a coffee you do not drink, while your family lowers your father into the ground without you. You feel something break very quietly inside you, the way a hairline crack runs through glass without making a sound. You tell the office it was fine, no problem, the operation came first. You tell your family it was unavoidable work, that you are sorry, that you wish you could explain. Both are lies. You have become a person for whom lying is no longer a decision you make. It is a reflex now. It is simply the air you breathe. You start to understand the thing no one ever says out loud at selection, the thing there are no words for in the recruitment brochure. The job does not ask you to do bad things and stay a good person, which you could at least have refused. The job changes, slowly and without your permission, what those words are even able to mean. Level 7. The senior officer. You come back to London changed, and they reward the change by putting you in charge of others. Now the young ones look at you the way you once looked at the calm people in the beige room, with that same mix of fear and longing. You are the calm one now. You teach them to need the building without ever saying so. You watch them begin to lie to their own families. The first small lies. The warm stone in the chest. And you recognize every stage of it from the inside. And you say nothing. Because warning them would be both cruel and pointless. And because it would be against everything the building quietly is. The decisions are larger up here. You sit in rooms where the question is not whether to run an agent, but whether to spend one. Whether the intelligence a man provides is worth the risk you are asking that man to carry, a man who has children and a wife and a future he believes you are protecting. You learn to weigh a human life against an outcome, out loud, in a meeting, and to do it without your voice changing pitch. That steadiness is the skill they promoted you for. It is also the wound. The clerk from all those years ago, the frightened, proud man who gripped your wrist, comes up one morning as a line in a risk assessment, a name and an exposure rating and a recommendation. You give your professional opinion. It is the correct opinion. Only later, alone with the lights off, do you let yourself remember his hand on your wrist and his voice asking whether he was safe, and your own steady voice answering yes, always. He was not safe. That is on a different page now, a page you initialed, in a building most of the country does not know they are paying for and would struggle to find on a map. You have power. Real power. The quiet kind. The kind that never appears in any newspaper and never carries your name. You move things in the world, and the world never sees your hand on them. It is everything. The applicant in the gray flat dreamed of on that Sunday afternoon. He imagined it would feel like flying. It feels instead like carrying something heavy across a great distance, alone, in the dark, with no one you are allowed to ask for help. Level 8. The Controller. Your name is known inside the building and unknown everywhere outside it. You run a region now. Dozens of operations, hundreds of lives, consequences measured in numbers that would not fit on the check you cash, all of it routed through your single judgment. The salary is 6 figures, and it is genuinely, completely irrelevant to you. You measure your worth instead in the questions you are trusted to be asked, and there are very few people left who are asked the questions you are asked. The paranoia is no longer a tool you take out and use. It is the medium you live inside, the water you swim in. You sweep your own home out of pure habit. You sit with your back to the wall in restaurants, and your family thinks it is a charming little quirk. You read your children's social media not as a father, but as a security officer, mapping the exposure they are creating without knowing they are creating it. The patterns, the locations, the routines a hostile service could read as easily as you do. You love them helplessly. You surveil them constantly. You have entirely lost the ability to do the first thing without also doing the second. There is a mole somewhere in the service. There always might be. That possibility never closes. You have spent your entire adult life teaching people to lie convincingly. And now you must spend the rest of it lying awake wondering which of the people you trained learned the lesson too well. You suspect a colleague of 30 years for the better part of 6 months, quietly, saying nothing to anyone, and you are wrong, completely wrong, and the friendship never recovers from the coldness you could never explain, because you were forbidden to tell him why you had begun to watch him eat. You realize, one ordinary evening, that you no longer have any friends at all. You have relationships you are managing. Every one of them. Even this one. Even the people inside the wire. The skill that made you what you are was always going to take this from you in the end, and now it finally has. And the strangest part, the part that frightens you most, is the steadiness with which you accept it. Level 9. The Reckoning. They offer you the inner circle, a seat near the very top, where policy and intelligence meet, and the nation's deepest secrets converge into a very few hands, and yours could be one of those hands. It is the summit. It is the place the list your name climbed was always quietly pointing toward. From that first night you pressed submit. And you sit in your office that overlooks the river, late, alone, the lights of London smeared and trembling in the dark glass, and for the first time in 20 years, you stop managing yourself and let yourself feel the whole of it at once. The funeral you missed and never grieved. The clerk you recruited and reassured and ultimately spent. The wife who left without ever being told why you woke at 3 a.m, gasping for air. The children who love a version of you that you assembled and rehearsed the way you once assembled a cover, piece by careful piece. The young officers you watched fall into the exact machine that took you, and never once warned, because the building does not warn. You got everything you wanted. The system gave you the meaning, the access, the power, the deep, unspeakable sense of being chosen that the applicant ached for in his 612-pound flat, with the spreading damp on the ceiling. And it took the price out of you so slowly, over so many years, in such small and reasonable installments, that you never once felt a single payment leaving you. Only the total, arriving now all at once, in a quiet room with the door shut. You understand the trade completely now, with a clarity that is almost peaceful. The system did not turn you into a monster. That would have been simpler, and you could have refused a monster's work. The system turned you into someone who did necessary things, real and necessary things that protected real and unknowing people. And then it let you carry the necessity entirely alone, forever, in a place where no one is permitted to know enough about you to offer comfort. You say yes to the promotion. Of course you do. There was never anyone left standing who could have said no on your behalf. Level 10. The Ghost. You reach the final form. They never tell you in advance which one it will be, only that there is always one waiting at the end. For some it is the corner office and the official car, and the great secrets that will die quietly with them, and never be spoken aloud again. For some it is the early forced exit and the long silence afterward. A man in a quiet village garden who cannot tell his neighbors a single true thing about the life he led or the things he prevented. For you, it is the in-between, which is its own kind of completeness. You are still inside, still vital, still trusted absolutely, and entirely alone. You know things that have quietly rewritten the history other people are taught in schools. You have prevented horrors that the public will never know to be grateful for, that will simply never have happened, and you have caused harms, real ones, that will never carry your name, or anyone's. You are the most consequential person in almost any room you walk into, and you can never once be acknowledged as such in any of them. You go home at the end, to a flat that is finally, legally, truly yours. The first thing in decades that is only what it appears to be. You stand at the window, with the whole of the city laid out below you. The city you have protected and lied to in precisely equal measure for the entirety of your adult life. And it does not know that you exist. It never will. That was the deal. That was always the deal. Written plainly in simple words on a Sunday a lifetime ago, before you were old enough to understand that the weight of the pen was the entire point. You are not broken. You are not a hero. You are a man your country needed badly, and was never once allowed to know it had. You are the secret that the secret itself was being kept by. Ending. Full circle. Somewhere in South London, on a grey Sunday afternoon, a young graduate sits in a shared flat with £612 in their account and a degree that nobody will pay for. The radiator ticks. A damp patch spreads in the corner of the ceiling. Outside, the city moves past the window without them, indifferent and bright. They are scrolling through jobs that will never call back, and they find a listing that does not quite say what it is. International Policy and Analysis. Discretion essential. A salary that is not large, but is steady. And steady feels like oxygen right now. They almost scroll past it. Something makes them stop. They cannot say what. They fill in the form, late at night, while the laughter of friends comes faintly through the wall. They answer a question about whether they have ever held information they were asked to keep secret. And they sit with it for a long moment. And for the first time in months, they feel that someone, somewhere, is asking them something that actually matters. They press submit. They go to bed. They feel chosen already by something they cannot yet name. They have no idea what they just started.